is Kenyon Drake or Jalen Waddle right now. And I would say we are 17 days, 17 away from Alabama's season opener to start the 2022 campaign against Utah State. And everybody pumped up, excited, chomping at the bit. Football season right around the corner. It's right here upon us. And you're rocking and rolling here on a Wednesday. Hottest show on the streets, talking your Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. We're bringing you the show from the magic city of Birmingham, streaming this to you through YouTube, and you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button right now on the channel. Smash subscribe. Get your friends, family members, diehard Bama fans, casual Bama fans, casual sports people to subscribe, because if you love the content, they will want to be a part of it also. Don't forget to like the show. Give us a thumbs up, give us a like, run those likes up. Make this your show, your network, channel, platform, and space to get all of your Crimson Tide alerts, information there. Turn all those notifications on. Hit that little bell so that way you miss absolutely nothing on what's going on with your favorite program, that being Bama football. We also got you covered on Facebook and Twitter as well, streaming to you this show. We got a great one today. Outstanding one. A little bit later on the show, we'll talk with the man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, on where is Bama sitting right now. When you look at defensive lineman Keon Keeley in terms of his recruitment, among other things, where this 2023 class is concerned. But we want to hear from you, the lively, the passionate, the fun bunch, the entertaining people of being the Crimson Tide football fan base. You can do this by calling 205-448-1358. But I'm going to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you. And one more time, 205-448-1358. That daily super chat goes $75. Daily super chat go. Appreciate the support coming from all of you. But we're going to get into now the first topic of conversation, folks, and that is there's so much buildup to the season. There is so much excitement, so much anticipation, so many things that U.S. fans and all of us as consumers of Alabama football, we want from this team in this upcoming season. And I was thinking about this last night. When there's been buildup, and a lot of it, when there's been excitement and a lot of it for an upcoming Alabama football season, Crimson Tide usually responds quite well to the buildup. And normally it responds to the national championship in that buildup. And I'm just reminded of different years as they're now on screen. When you look at 2009, 2011, 2015, 2017, 2020. There was just so much buildup for those seasons. Like, U.S. fans were just so amped, so excited, just so ready to go to get to those particular seasons, because you felt, as a fan, something special, something remarkable is going to happen, is going to take place here where Bama football is concerned. Case in point, 2009, right? 2008, Alabama got to the SEC championship. People thought was Bama a little bit too early getting there with Coach Saban. You had guys that knew they were talented enough, just didn't quite have that belief that they could take down Florida. The very next year in 2009, U.S. fans were going, we got to get back there. Can't wait to face Florida. We know we got the team. We know we can get back there. There was just so much juice, so much electricity, so much energy coming from you, the fans, and just your excitement for that 2009 season, because you thought this is the team that's going to get Alabama back to being on top where Bear Bryant had it in the 60s and 70s, and Gene Stallings had it in 92, and Wallace Wade had it in the 1920s and 30s, and Frank Thomas had it in the 30s and 40s. Like, we're going to get back there in that 2009 season. And what happened? Alabama got back there, ran the table, won undefeated, perfect national championship season because there was so much excitement, so much build-up going into that year. I look at 2011 the same way. 2010, U.S. fans were disappointed. It was, how could Alabama lose 3 games in 2010? How could it lose to South Carolina and Stephen Garcia? What? How could it lose to LSU? Huh? How could Cam Newton come back and win at Bryant? It just didn't feel right. And I understand that Alabama had lost several players off that 2009 team, several leaders too, the NFL draft, and levels of complacency had set in. But 2011, there was just so much buildup where you knew what you had on defense coming back. You were really excited about that. And then when the tornado came in April of that year, it was, okay, now we gotta win. We got to win to restore the city. We got to win to give the people hope. We got to win to, put Tuscaloosa and surrounding cities in the state back where they need to be. And there was build-up for that 11 season. And what happened, even with the 9-6 loss to LSU, Bama ran the table, got back to the national championship, and handled LSU, shutting it out 21-0 in New Orleans. Then I look at the 2015 season and the build-up there. 2013 and 2014, Bama, no national championship in either season. And here comes these newspapers, these national reporters with, okay, Saban's done. It's over. We've never seen Saban go back-to-back years of no ring. We've never seen Saban go back-to-back years, no national championship. It's over. Stick a fork in Bama. They're a burnt chicken. They're cooked. They're done. And what does Saban do? Even with the loss to Ole Miss, runs the table with Derek King Henry and other guys, especially guys in that defense. They get to the national championship and win. Why? The build-up from U.S. fans, the energy going to that season. 2017, there was a lot of energy. 2016, Alabama had the most entertaining defense that year. It didn't yield a national championship, but still entertaining nonetheless. What happens 2017? You ask the fans, so excited. You got Jalen Hurts, you got this hot shot freshman, Tua Tagovailoa, and all these other freshmen, Najee Harris, Jerry Jeudy, Devonta Smith, Henry Ruggs. My gosh, look at these young kids. Look what they got on the field here. And the guys on defense, so much energy infused. Alabama, even with the loss to Auburn in the Iron Bowl, didn't keep it from getting into the college football playoff and winning a national championship. And then 2020, oh man, the energy. Oh man, 2020, 2018 and 2019, no national title. Tua Tagovailoa gone. How many people thought, Mac Jones? The 3-star? A kid from Florida? What he gonna do? Isn't he the one that lost Bama the Iron Bowl with them 2 pick sixes in 2019? And then you had the coronavirus pandemic that we were wondering, is there even going to be football? Is football going to be a thing? Is that even going to be played? And what happens, you not only got a football season, but you got one of the most exciting football seasons of Alabama history. We saw Mac Jones go from being 3-star to setting records, becoming a Heisman finalist, becoming a first-round top 15 draft pick. We went from, is Bama going to have a football season, to Devontae Smith's the Heisman Trophy winner. And there was so much build-up, excitement going into 2020, and we saw the result of that. This upcoming season, folks, there is just so much excitement when you talk to Alabama fans. It's, Saban going to get back there after falling short to Kirby Smart back in January to end last season. Saban's going to get back there. Saban ain't done yet. You got so many people wondering, because the question's being thrown out there more and more. Is Saban going to retire? Is he finally going to retire? Is he going to bow out gracefully? And Saban's answered the question time and time again. I'm not retiring. I don't want to retire. I love what I do. Enjoy what I do. Passionate about what I do. There's just a lot of excitement going into this year. U.S. fans wanting to know, can Bryce Young become the first player to go back-to-back Heisman Trophy since Archie Griffin? Can Will Anderson break the Derek Thomas record of 27 sacks that has stood since 1988? And if he were to average 3 sacks a game this season, he can get that. U.S. fans wondering, offensive line, what's that going to look like? Defensive line, does Bama got those animals? Secondary, what's the secondary going to look like? Just a lot of build-up, just a lot of excitement, just a lot of energy coming into this season. Saban going after national championship number 8 overall, 7th during his time at Alabama. But we're going to take a quick break. We're going to go to a break right here, folks. When we get back, we're going to sit down with my man Justin Smith, but talk this 2023 class, get the popcorn going, pop up you a can, because we're going to be back on In My Own Words.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up.
9 players have teamed up and released the Alabama Team Paper, which is a video yearbook they've put out for sale direct to fans. Now, for the first time, small dollar purchases from the fans can support the players as a group as well as a great cause, because $1 of every subscription payment is donated to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Be a 5-star fan base and support your team and a great cause with Team Paper. Check it out at teampaper.com/Alabama.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
All right, people, we're back into the action from the break. Hottest show in the streets, talking your Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. For all of you that have called in, hold through to the next segment. We're going to get your calls. Just hold through to the next segment because we definitely want to hear from you. Gotta shout out the man, Coach Smoke, a.k.a. Senator Hines, with that $2 donation, the Super Chats. Appreciate the man, Coach Smoke, helping us out here, dancing Stephen on the desk, doing his thing right there. And we go to the phone, we go to the In My Own Words hotline. We pick up the man on a mission here, getting the analysis on everybody in this 2023 recruiting class and beyond, that being Justin Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, lead scouting and recruiting analyst. Justin, what's happening, my man?
Not much, Stephen. Like I always say, excited to be on to talk about some recruiting news.
Absolutely fun to get into that recruiting information because that's what the fans want to know is who are the next guys coming to Tuscaloosa. So, Justin, I remember you talked about on the process 2 young men in particular, James Smith, a freakish defensive lineman, and Quay Russaw, who is his teammate at Carver High School. You mentioned that these 2 are a package deal. If you want to get both of them, you got to get one, and if you can get one, the other may follow suit. How do you see this between Smith and Russaw as a package deal, these 2 dynamic defensive linemen here from Carver High School?
Well, this does look like a pretty solid package deal. I know we've heard guys say this in the past, and a lot of times it has not come to fruition. But this package deal looks really serious just based on how close they are in terms of their personal relationship, and also they go to the same school. A lot of prospects in the past have said this. They were not even going to the same high school, but these guys go to the same high school with James Smith transferring back to Carver Montgomery for his senior year. If you go on these guys' Twitter profiles, they each have one or another as their cover picture, and I think that just shows the type of relationship they have. And they spend a lot of time around each other. Of course, they go to the same school, play on the same football team, and also train at the same training facility under the same training coaches at Madhouse Training in Montgomery, Alabama. So they definitely have a close relationship. At least their top six. Both of them have the same schools listed, with them being considered a package deal at the moment. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Florida. You have Alabama State in the mix as well as the Auburn Tigers. Things look to be, say, pretty close at the moment. I think Todd are in a really good position. Just some interesting teams in the mix. Like I said on the latest episode of the process, I feel that just looking at their recruitment, it's very similar to another guy who Madhouse trained in the Montgomery area in the last recruiting cycle, in Curtis Perry. He was looking at some similar schools. You can take a look at Auburn, Ohio State, and the Crimson Tide heading to the end of his recruitment. Both of these guys could wait all the way to National Signing Day, which is what Curtis Perry did as well. So things could get really interesting throughout the season. We'll see how many times the Crimson Tide are able to get these guys on campus for games and possibly official visits before they make decisions. I am definitely looking forward to watching both of them in action this upcoming season. In terms of their skill set, I think James Smith is one of the more complete defensive linemen in this 2023 recruiting class. I think he has an opportunity to make an immediate impact no matter which school he chooses. I think he's going to show a lot of his game on this upcoming season at Carver Montgomery High School. Just shows the ability to brush from different spots all across the defensive front, show off his quickness for a guy his size, which is really impressive, and show off the thing that is I think, the biggest strength is the physicality that he plays the game with. You also have Freddie Roach, who's a versatile defensive prospect who could be an inside linebacker who the Crimson Tide are most likely recruiting him for at the moment. He said in the past that they will most likely want him to play inside linebacker, but he's a guy who has experience rushing off the edge, being a physical edge rusher. So we'll see what position he plays at the next level. But the Tide are in a good position with both of these guys right now. But like we have seen in the past, specifically in this 2023 recruiting class, looking at in-state guys, you have to finish the job. You can be in a good position, but you have to finish the deal, close the deal to land these guys, no matter where you stand at one point in their recruitment.
So, Justin, and I've always said this. I've always talked about I dabble in recruiting. I know enough to formulate a conversation, but you study this. Like, you track this. You eat, sleep, breathe this. So, to you here, is it unfair for people to kind of criticize or judge Freddie Roach as Alabama's defensive line coach when you talk about the recruiting circuit and, Peter Woods, top in-state guy, didn't choose Alabama straight off, chose Clemson. And then you look at four-star Kelby Collins, of whom Alabama was in position for, but he chooses Florida. And you get a lot of fans that wonder, okay, why is Alabama not getting these top, elite, marquee defensive linemen, defensive tackles? Is there something that Coach Roach is not doing? Is it fair to criticize? Was it fair to judge Coach Roach on, not being able to get some guys that people feel like Alabama should be getting?
I think if you want to judge him, in my opinion, it is fair game if that is the way you want to see things, because he is the lead recruiter for a lot of in-state guys, specifically along the defensive line. So if you feel that you are not satisfied with the job that he has done, you're definitely it's definitely fair game if you want to criticize him. But I think he has done a really good job building relationship with guys. He has helped the Crimson Tide land some pretty high-ranking recruits in this 2023 recruiting class so far. Unfortunately, he has missed out on some guys as well, but it is not like he's doing a terrible job building a relationship with these guys. Just based on what they tell everyone, every reporter, including me, they speak highly on the relationship that they have with Roach, constantly staying in contact with them, which is what is most important when it comes to assistant coaches recruiting. So just based on what I know, some parents have told me and what recruits have told me, he has done a great job building relationship with those guys, but unfortunately, it has not led to them committing to the Crimson Tide. When you take a look at Woods and Collins, both of those guys have been pretty open about them growing up Alabama fans, and their parents have been getting recruited by Alabama, and Freddie Roach has recruited those guys' parents too, specifically Kelby Collins. I know he talked a lot about how Freddie Roach is in constant contact with his parents, so it is definitely fair game if they want to criticize him just because of the fact he is the main recruiter will continue to be the main recruiter for Kelby Collins, and also Peter Woods. The Crimson Tide continue to recruit those guys, so those guys chose to go elsewhere, but he has done a really good job on the recruiting trail, landing other guys like Tony Mitchell, you have Jaleel Hurley, Yuns Pierre. Taking a look at the 2024 class, he had a huge role in the Crimson Tide, picking up Jalen and Falkway. He's going to be a 5-star recruit in this 2024 recruiting class in the future. So he has hit on some, he has missed on some, but I think he's still a pretty good recruiter. Take a look at any recruiting rankings. When you take a look at coaches, he's going to be one of the best in the nation. Could be the top in the nation, just taking a look at what he has helped the Crimson Tide bring in. Unfortunately, Kelby Collins and specifically Peter Woods are two big misses inside of the state, so it is fair to judge him.
We're talking with our own Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, if you're just checking us out here on a Wednesday. So, Justin, as we now flip this to Keon Keeley, who 5-star defensive lineman, right now a Notre Dame guy, Notre Dame commit here. Where does Alabama stand in potentially possibly flipping him, possibly making him the next guy in this class? As we stand right now, where is Alabama and Keon Keeley's recruitment?
Yeah, I think the Tide are still in a good position, solid position. I guess it all depends on if he would decommit or flip. That's something everyone is keeping their eyes on. I think this is one of those recruitments where I've talked about on this show in the past. Decommitment season is coming up. It usually happens in the middle of the season when certain teams' seasons are not going on right, and some coaches get on the hot seat. And just taking a look at Notre Dame, they have a new head coach now. There are some question marks around their program. It'll be interesting to see how things get off. And if they do get off to a bumpy start, when you take a look at the Fighting Irish this upcoming season, we could see them in trouble on the recruiting trail. Right now, I think they are in a good position to have a solid class, to have some good commits at the moment. But things could change if things don't get out to a hot start for the Fighting Irish with them being under a new regime. So that is something to pay attention to when it comes to Keon Keeley's recruitment, and a lot of guys recruitment who are verbally committed to schools who may not get off to a great start this upcoming season. So the Tide are in a good position with him after hosting him. They were always a favorite, even when they offered them, got him on campus I think a couple of weeks later to take an unofficial visit. He said he loved the program in terms of what they do for their players on and off the field. So the Crimson Tide were always the favorite, have continued to be the favorite to land him if he decommitted from the Fighting Irish or possibly flip him. I think they still remain that favorite, but we'll see how he handles his recruitment. If he backs off his pledge, if he decides to take another visit to Alabama during the season, I think that will help the Tide's chances as well.
You heard him right here, folks, the living legend himself when it comes down to Bama on the recruiting front. Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Be sure to check out his show, The Process, every Tuesday and Thursday. Incredible work there from Justin, breaking down the tape, watching the film, studying, rating, ranking, scouting, seeing all of these young athletes in games, and checking out their commitment on the biggest scale right there. And be sure to check him out on Twitter as he continues to check out these athletes. Justin, as always, we appreciate you, man. You take care.
You do the same, Stephen.
Always fun having Justin on the show to talk Bama recruiting. But, folks, we're going to go to a break right now because when we get back, it's on you. Ring those phones, light us up. We want your conversations, and they're coming. Oh, yeah, they're coming right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace. Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
And boom, baby, we're back in from the break. Hottest show on the streets, covering your Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Gotta shout out the man Randy Harris with that $5 donation, the Super Chats. Appreciate the love there from Randy, helping us out here on the show. And Dance and Stephen appreciates the love there as well. But we now get to our favorite time of the show, and it's time to take your phone calls. And those phone calls brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Now I'm going to call in, 205-448-1358. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
What's going on, Steven? It's your boy, Coach Smoot, man. What's good, brother?
Doing good, man. Just got a chance to hear from Coach Saban. You know, not disappointed with the team, not satisfied either, but he listed out, you know, some depth there on the defensive line, brought up old Jaheim Otis in there, and looking forward to this season.
Man, let me tell you, Steven, our defensive line has always led our championship teams. If you go back and look through the history under Coach Saban, it's always been defensive-led national championship teams. Offense in more recent national championships has been a lot more flashy and a lot more explosive than what we've been used to. But anytime Saban has carried a top 10, top 15 defense statistically, mainly having a top 5, top 10 rushing defense, and you know that's just proven to be the formula. And even with offenses getting more explosive, our defense has steadily maintained as much issues as we give Pete Golden. Pete Golden, the first 3 weeks of the season always looks kind of iffy, but during the gauntlet, during the stretch of the season, our defense has shown up the last 2 years. I mean, really shown up, especially last year. You know, I think we forget that Auburn held our offense scoreless until it was 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, 8 minutes left in the game in regulation. And you don't do that when you have 3 possessions. I think it was 12 possessions up until that point. We had 12 possessions, and we had only given up 10 points. So you don't do that with just you don't win that game without a strong defense. And the offense put them in a lot of bad spots. Our offensive line was struggling that game, and we all saw the game. And we ended up winning it. But the defense really won that game. Even with Kool-Aid McKinstry at the end making the play, defense has led us to our national championships. And so for a defense to be the talk of our fall camp and spring, and to be the talk of everything surrounding Alabama, and the offense to be the thing in question with as much talent as we have coming back, and I don't think we question the offensive line, Steven, but I don't think it's so much as the offensive line as far as the talent there, the ability there. I think it's just a question of who. I feel like we can put 8 or 9 guys, a mixture of 8 or 9 guys out there right now in all 5 of those spots and mix and match it and have a solid group. But as always, we always looking for the best 5 for each position that's going to be able to gel and give us the best production all of. So that doesn't mean the best left guard, the best left tackle. It's the best offensive lineman that can go and play this position. And that's why I don't pay attention to all the talk that's coming out of camp. I pay attention to consistency and what's been proven. We know Steen coming from Vanderbilt. That's going to be a big help. But you got guys like Cohen that's going to get healthy and get back in his spot. But until then, you got a 6-year guy in Randolph that's going to be able to cover that down. You got Dallencourt that he's getting a fair opportunity while he's healthy to lock down the center position. If he does it, Seth is coming off the bench with the energy. And on your right side, where we have most of our problems, we have so much potential and upside on the right side. Steven, I feel so confident about our season that our hiccups are going to come as 18-point wins. Like we were only winning by 18 points, 12 points. Oh, Bama had a close game. That's the type of season we're going to have. And they're going to be talking about us if somebody rushes 100 yards plus on us. That's the type of season we're going to have, where it's going to be such a dominant season with all the talent we have surrounding both sides of the ball and the staff that we got coming back. Steven, I hate it for college football, man, and I love it for Alabama. So that's all I want to talk about today, Steven. I appreciate you taking my call. Roll Tide in the chat. Roll Tide to the Blue Rinse game. And shout out to the TDA fam, man. Y'all keep doing what y'all do, Steven. I love coming back. Even when I don't catch these shows live, I love coming back and watching these shows, man. You guys are doing it big, from recruiting to just up-to-date news and just a great insight of what's going on inside that football program, man. And I really appreciate you guys, man. Keep it up, and appreciate you, buddy. Take care.
Absolutely. Coach Smoke, Senator Hines, starting us off on Wednesday's show. We continue with calls. We grab this one. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from. You're live on the show, caller. State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Stephen, this is Kyle from Georgia. How you doing?
Doing great, Kyle, and yourself.
I'm doing pretty good. So I got a two-part right here. The first one's kind of a joke. Is Stetson Bennett gonna get Social Security benefits from UGA this year when he leaves, or what?
You know what?
Like he might, 7th year.
I'll say this, Kyle. He might get a fifth doctoral degree.
All right. Number two is got to do with Georgia again. Roll Tide. All right. So everybody's talking about Nick Saban making all these excuses. Oh, last year was a rebuilding year, all this and that and the other. So what's Georgia's excuse going to be this year? Oh, we didn't have that dynamic defense to tote us after South Carolina beat Tennessee and Mississippi State. I got them at 3 right there out the gate. 3 out the gate. They done. Those 3 teams going to get Georgia this year. That's my prediction.
Well, that's probably
take on that.
That's probably, Kyle, going to be one of the excuses right there is, with Georgia, lost a lot on defense, couldn't replenish it, or it could be a situation where they think, we have all of these quarterbacks, but Kirby Smart is continuing to stay with Stetson Bennett. It could be either one of those.
In Georgia, so I got to listen to them, and I just tell them 4- and 5-star quarterbacks go to Georgia and die. That's just my take on it. But Roll Tide, love your show. Keep doing what you're doing, and let's get it against Utah State. Roll Tide.
Absolutely. Appreciate Kyle from Georgia calling in. 17 days until Bama takes on Utah State and Bryant-Denny. We grab this call. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Steven, this is Michael from Columbus, South Carolina. How you doing, bro?
Doing great, Michael, and yourself?
Good. 2 things to talk about. Before I, say what I have to say, I really enjoy listening to the podcast, tuning in. Steven, you're great. I enjoy, I come off from work, have hard days at work, but coming on this podcast, watching this, always bring greatness to me, and having listened to this podcast talk about Alabama football. I just wanted to get that off my chest.
I appreciate that coming from you, Michael. I appreciate it.
But my question is, Nick Saban, I didn't catch Nick Saban's press conference today, but did he say anything about the offense, the wide receivers in particular?
He did. He said the guys improved from the scrimmage. In the scrimmage, Saban was disappointed that, Alabama had some dropped balls from receivers. They picked it up this week in practice. Not a lot of drop balls, so the hands are becoming more consistent. They're understanding what they need to do. I think the main thing Coach Saban wants to see is after Jermaine Burton, because he's talked a lot about Burton, the transfer from Georgia. After Burton, who's the number 2 guy? Who wants to be that number 2 option for Bryce Young? And it's a lot of guys out there that could be that option. Ja'Cory Brooks can be it. Christian Leary can be it. Tyler Harrell can be it. You got guys that can be it. but who wants to take that number 2 spot behind Burton?
And secondly, I look at Alabama's schedule. We start off with Utah State. A lot of people talk about the Texas A&M game. They should be kind of a marker there. But I'm interested to hear from you what you think about this. I do believe that if there's any game to really keep your eye on, it's the Arkansas game, the Razorbacks. To me, I hear about who they've gotten, who they brought in from the transfer with Jadon Hasselwood and all those guys. What do you think, Steve? In your mind, who do you see right now as a potential big game for Alabama?
I know a lot of people talk about Texas A&M, but Michael, I'm there with you with Arkansas. Sam Pittman has done so much quickly to change that program. You got a veteran quarterback back in KJ Jefferson. You got strong guys back on defense. Bumper Pool, Drew Sanders, which they pull from Alabama out of the transfer portal. Arkansas's got a team, and you go up to Fayetteville to play Sam Pittman and the Hogs. So that's a matchup you cannot sleep on. That's a matchup you can't take your eye off of. Appreciate Michael from South Carolina, those thoughts right there, but I'll roll with him with Arkansas. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How are you feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, man, this is Peter from Jay, Florida. Thanks for taking my call. I'm a newer listener. I think I've listened like 3 times. Your show's awesome. Gets me pumped for the season, so thank you.
Absolutely, man. This is what we do, man. We enjoy getting the fans pumped, getting the fans informed, and getting them ready.
Yeah, cool. So one of your callers yesterday made a valid point, but I wanted to kind of ask you a question about it too. So he made the comment where are our guys in the middle that can really be game changers and just break through the line, right? Like those big bulldozer nose tackles. And I agree. That's something that isn't as powerful. Jaheim Otis, I think, is the real deal. But besides that, the past basically, I think 3 or 4 years, you can argue that really hasn't been as much of a strength. My question was with kickers going 360 here. Will Reichert, do you know if he's the first scholarship kicker since Saban has been there? Haven't they all been walk-ons before him?
In terms of kickers, aside from Will Reichert in the scholarship, I think the last scholarship kicker, I think it was Adam Griffith. I want to say Adam Griffith was the last one, scholarship-wise.
So it hasn't been, consistent.
Yeah, so I think Will Reichert has been, as far as scholarship kickers, recently, he's been the most consistent. And I go back to 2020, the offense was so good that we forget about how perfect Reichert was in 2020.
Yeah, and I think, again, this year, right, you can argue, he's not even really mentioned because he's just doing his freaking job. But I think my point is, and thanks for validating that, I think with the defensive lineman, and this is just a microcosm example, there's other parts you can kind of correlate. Saban evolves with the game, and that's what makes him so great, right? He, in the past, besides Griffith, like you were saying, hasn't given scholarships to kickers. So essentially, if a Will Reichert, for example, let's say happened 8 years ago, he's not going to get him because Reichert knows he can get a full ride somewhere else. Now he's taking up, it's just one scholarship, but it is a scholarship, so it's attention, time, and recruiting efforts and money towards different areas, I feel like now. And I think we have to be mindful of that and give him credit. Again, Saban evolves with the game. I'm talking kicker. I understand that. But if you equate that, let's say that Saban said, I want more speed on my DNs, which he has changed that too. He's brought in a lot of speed rushes on the end. And, I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit up the middle to get myself an assured 3 points, like you said. Reichert's lockdown. And I think they got another kid committed, correct me if I'm wrong, coming in after Reichert now, signed for next year. As a kicker too. And again, that's just one example, but I think you can look around the field and even at quarterback, he had managers. McElroy, Mac Jones, McCarron, yes, they were high recruits, but let's be honest, they weren't really as highly touted as Jalen, Tua, and some other guys. So I think, yes, he has to pick and choose, right? Like they all do, even though he's the greatest. So I just wanted to comment on that, get your thoughts, and I'll leave it there. But thanks, man. I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Appreciate Peter from Florida calling in. Good stuff there from Peter. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from?
This is Terrence, originally from Mississippi, but I'm representing Texas, L-Town, Lufkin.
What's on your mind, my man?
Okay, I got a few little things on my mind. I know everybody is so set on Trey Sanders. There's nothing against Trey Sanders. He's put in his work. Hey, I think he's gonna get his time, but hey, it's a lot of people sleeping on Jason McCullum. This dude is nasty, man. I'm talking about he's a give and go gadget type of running back. I mean, to me, he reminds me a little bit more of Damon Harris. He find a hole, hit it, and he's wide open to the house. Another thing, man, defensive line, I ain't hearing too much about Keon Smith, but Jaheim Otis and Jamil Burrows, man, I can't wait to see these. You seen them when they were younger. They had dog in them. You seen them during the summer, all the work that Otis has put in, he had some dog in him. He had some dog about him. And I just can't wait. I mean, I can't wait to see those boys. I think the interior pass rush on defense is going to be a bit better. I actually think Moody should be the middle linebacker and have to play Deontay Lawson at the other side. That's just me, but I guarantee he's still there. But I'm looking for Bama to cut up on defense this year, and I'm looking for the offense to look similar to the 2020 offense. That's just me, and I'm handing it back over to you. Roll Tide, roll.
Absolutely. Appreciate Terrence for that call there. And just getting back to the defensive line, Coach Saban mentioned Tim Smith too. He mentioned Otis. He's mentioned Tim Smith. He's mentioned Jamil Burrows back in the spring. Bama's got depth on the line. Bama's got depth at nose tackle. It's the question you as fans are having is, who is that guy that can put us back in the mind frame of a Daron Payne, right? A Quinnen Williams, a Marcel Darius, a Jesse Williams, a Christian Barmore. Like, who's a guy that can put us all back in that mind frame? They don't necessarily have to be exactly like those guys because you're not going to be exactly like them, but who can get us back close to the mind frame of those guys? That's what you want as a fan. And any of those guys I mentioned, whether it's Burrows, whether it's Otis, whether it's Tim Smith, if they can put us back in the mind frame close with Marcel Darius, a Jesse Williams, a Quinnen Williams, a Daron Payne, a Christian Barmore, then we as consumers of college football are 100% cool with that. It's just which one of those guys can put us in the mind frame of the guys we have seen in the past that just ate up centers, ate up offensive guards, ate up running backs, ate up quarterbacks, and made life easier on the defensive ends, the linebackers, and most importantly, the defensive secondary. But appreciating your calls coming in here, 205-448-1358. Keep those coming. Want to hear from you, 205-448-1358 here. And in my own words, we're getting to these topics now, and the first one here. How about Jalen Milroe getting to the NIL compensation dance here of a sophomore quarterback from Texas lands his first NIL deal. He's a Roback athlete, Roback Clothing, the fashion apparel line. They do golf fashion. They do all types of fashion. So Milroe becomes the second Alabama player to ink a deal with Roback, joining junior outside linebacker Will Anderson. So kudos there to Jalen Milroe getting his first NIL deal. Also, Bryant-Denny Stadium. No more having the liquor in your purse. No more hiding the liquor in your boots. No more hiding the alcohol flask in your pocket. Why? Because the University of Alabama, Bryant-Denny Stadium, will be serving alcohol for the games on Saturdays in the fall. It was announced in a 6-1 voting by the legislature, 6-1 voting in a meeting, city council meeting, that Bryant-Denny Stadium has been approved to sell alcohol inside of Bryant-Denny. So I don't know if this is gonna improve fan attendance. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll be something where more people in there, they see more of their favorite drinks being sold, Saban will not look at the stands and wonder, okay, why is half the lower bowl empty? Maybe we will not have that. Maybe this will improve or increase the amount of people staying inside the stadium. We shall see. But according to City Council meeting, 6-1 rule voting, Bryant-Denny, Alabama will be serving alcohol inside of the stadium. But we go to a break right now, folks, on Touch That Dial. When we return, we look at the wide receiver position and get into more of yes, Jermaine Burton's receiver number 1. But who do I feel like grabs that number 2 spot here opposite of him? We'll talk about it after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, folks, you are flying with the TDA airplane. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate you guys checking us out on the show, hottest show on the streets, talking your Bama football news. Before we get into the final topic of conversation, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. Okay, TDAwear.com. As we're in fall camp, get yourself set up with your gear today, supporting your favorite football program. Or if you want to, you can wait till Saturday, September 3rd, when the Crimson Tide opens the season against Utah State in Bryant-Denny to get the gear then. But TDAwear.com, link in the description. Get all of your swagger, sauce, drip, fashion, clothing, cultural needs right here. TDAwear.com. Show that support to Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But now we get into these Crimson Tide wide receivers. This is a conversation that a lot of you don't want to talk about. The Bama wide receivers. You graduate Jamison Williams, John Mechie, and Slade Bold into the NFL. So now it's, okay, who do we have to look at for the upcoming season? Who does Bryce Young, who can Bryce Young trust to get that ball to and have those guys make those types of plays in the receiving aspect? Well, Coach Saban has been very high on Jermaine Burton since he arrived. And kudos to Burton. I mean, he's put Georgia behind him, the national championship at Georgia behind him. He's all about, I want to win with this team. I love these guys. I want to help this team win. These guys have welcomed me in with open arms, no hatred, no animosity. I honestly don't even remember the national championship game, me being at Georgia. I'm just so focused on being with this team. All the right things coming from Jermaine Burton, and he's backing it up with consistent play on the field. Consistent hands, really good speed, strong routes. He's backing up his play. So when Coach Saban says you're the most consistent guy, you got to figure, okay, this is wide receiver 1. Bucket, this is wide receiver 1, Jermaine Burton, doing what he's supposed to do. So the question now becomes, okay, so who's behind him? Who's number 2? In Alabama, there's always been that solid number 2 or that just as good number 2 guy behind the number 1 guy. It's always been that way. So For Alabama, who's at number 2 in a sea of guys, whether it's experienced guys, transfers, freshmen, all competing, battling in this thing. And for me, I feel like, this is just my opinion, I think the number 2 guy is Ja'Cory Brooks. It's just me personally. I think this is the number 2 guy right here. Christian Leary is really good, and he's going to get out there, absolutely. Trayshawn Holden, working, trying to be that 3rd or 4th receiver. Thayou Jones-Bell, I don't know where he's going to kind of fit in here. Hopefully he fits in here. And then you got the freshmen who have been having a great fall camp. Oh, also Tyler Harrell. Got to find a spot in here, as well. But I'm going to go with Ja'Cory Brooks. And the reason why I'm saying Brooks is something that Coach Saban mentioned, right? He's got consistent hands, got very strong routes. So remember Bryce Young talked about it last year. C7, Brooks takes his routes very seriously. You want to know who else took their routes very seriously? Devontae Smith did. Ja'Cory Brooks takes his routes very seriously. He's got physicality at 6'2", 196 pounds. So he works as an outside stack on top of a DB type of receiver. Tough, very tough, highly competitive, extremely versatile. We saw against Texas A&M last year, blocked a punt that was recovered for a touchdown. Really like how Ja'Cory Brooks goes all out. And it's when Alabama recruits a freshman from South Florida, it just always works out right, doesn't it? When Bama recruits a freshman wide receiver from South Florida, it always pans out. I mean, Amari Cooper, 2012, we saw that. Calvin Ridley, 2015, we saw that. Jerry Jeudy, 2017, hey, we saw that. And you picked up Ja'Cory Brooks, 2021 class from South Florida, from Miami. And what does he do? In the Iron Bowl. Biggest game of the regular season at that point. You needed somebody to step up because, Jamison Williams got ejected for targeting earlier in that game. Ja'Cory Brooks makes 2 big catches, including a 28-yard touchdown. Tie the game at 10. And force overtime. Helping Alabama win that game. And then in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl against Cincinnati, he led the entire receiver room. 4 catches for 66 yards, including a 44-yard touchdown. The guy sat next to Jamison Williams and John Mechie every day, soaking up energy, soaking up knowledge and information and wisdom from both of those two. And when Alabama needed a big play, and either Mechie or Jamo were not on the field, went to Ja'Cory Brooks, who finished the season with 15 catches for 192 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, I understand he still needs more game reps. I get it. Didn't practice in the spring because of a slight injury. I get it. He's back full go in fall camp. Really having a good fall camp. But I think he's the number 2 guy. I know you got these other guys on screen battling. Tyler Harrell, Trayshawn Holden, Christian Leary, Thayou Jones-Bell, Shaz Preston, Kobe Prentice, Kendrick Law, Aaron Anderson. You got all of these guys, Isaiah Bond. You got all of these guys battling up here. All of these guys. You're going to be without JoJo Earl for 6 to 8 weeks, but you got a lot of these guys battling up here. But I think Ja'Cory Brooks, because of the size, the toughness, the routes, the want to, the fire, the competitiveness, the young man wants to be great. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald, NFL legend, future first ballot Hall of Famer, Larry Fitzgerald spoke to Alabama about a week ago. And do you know who got right with Larry Legend to glean extra wisdom and get a picture with him? Ja'Cory Brooks. Want to be great. Wants to be that guy. To have that chemistry there and have that connection there with Bryce Young. This is a good problem to have, folks. Jermaine Burton, yes, won, but you got a lot of guys that want that number 2 spot. The question is who? I really like Ja'Cory Brooks. He wasn't really talked about much when he came in the 2021 class, right? A lot of the conversation went with J.I. Hall. He's now at Texas. A lot of that conversation went to other guys, but Brooks put his head down, went to work. When his number was called upon, had big moments last year. I think this year he's poised for even bigger moments. That's why I got him as my number 2 option behind Jermaine Burton. But we'll see what happens here. We got another scrimmage coming up here on Saturday. We will see what happens. But as always, Bama Nation, you want the best in news, notes, information, entertainment. You can check this out by accessing the Touchdown Alabama magazine app. Now, you download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. For your audio needs, check us out, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, Google Play, or iHeartRadio got you covered. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I shall make my return on Friday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. Remember, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama magazine, have those sent directly to your door. That link found in the description. If you're trying to get your hands on the fresh edition, print edition of TDA the magazine, you go to touchdownalabama.com and you click join. Become a member or a subscriber today. That link in the description. You're trying to get your hands on the 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at We Own DeFourthQuarter.com. That link in the description too. But guys, shout out my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, to come on here breaking down the 2023 class. Want to give a great shout out to you guys, the outstanding fans of Bama football. You're just 17 days. Can you feel it? Can you feel the intensity? 17 days from Alabama kicking this thing off against Utah State. But appreciate you guys, all the love, all the phone calls, all the donations, making this your network platform, channel, and space to talk Bama. Also got to shout out my 2 outstanding producers in the room right now, John Ivory and Eli Walker, making this the great thing, the great show that it is. Hey, it's their world. I'm just living in it. But until next time, folks, husbands, love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children, continue doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, legitimate thing, to not be bored and get that schoolwork done. School back in here. I'll get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself. You protect the loved ones around you. Until next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith, and you've been listening to In My Own Words.